Well, all right. Welcome to another lesson on basic leadership training. We're going to continue now with lesson 2, talking about leadership styles. Now, it's important to remember these lessons are very basic. These lessons are not meant to give you an in-depth training or education in the field of leadership. Certainly not. Couldn't be done in just a few hours that we're doing these videos. However, they do try to provide, or these lessons hopefully provide, a fundamental or a basic foundation of practical information that you can use currently in your position in order to meet the needs of your organization. So please keep that in mind. If you have some questions, feel free to comment or send me a message. I would also encourage you to dig deeper into certain aspects, such as leadership styles. There are quite a few leadership styles out there. It's really booming. It's an interesting field these days in business and even psychology. However, I've narrowed it down to just a very few. So again, the idea of these lessons is for practical knowledge, practical information that you can use immediately and apply in your current organization or working environment. So let's begin with leadership styles. We are here currently at the second lesson of our course. The next lesson will be human behavior in organizations, and that's pretty much how people behave or think in organizations. We have a part 1 and a part 2. Then we have a team building activity and UTIS issues. This is very interesting because it applies specifically to this organization. And then Management A and Management B will be handled by another teacher. So let's move on. 2 basic leadership styles. Only 2. There's a type A and there's a type B, basically. So 2 basic leadership styles. We have traditional and we have people-oriented. I'm going to go back. I know you couldn't read that. But the traditional leader or leadership style is quite task-oriented. They want to get the job done at all costs. Go! It's either my way or the highway. Take it or leave it, or get out. This is maybe you know people like that, or you've met leaders like that. They're concerned with results. They are thinking more about getting the results than anything else. Not the people, but getting the results that they need. These leaders also demand that work be accomplished. You need to get it done, is the words that you might hear from these leaders. There's only one-way communication. Basically, what I have to say, and then anything you have to say, is pretty much a closed door. I might look at you, but my mind is not receiving what you might have to say. All members really know in that environment is just work. All I have to do is work. I come to work, I work. This is the idea of a traditional thinker or a leadership style. Its motivation is not by collaboration. It's not motivation by rewards. It's more or less by force or by fear. Either do this or get out, basically. Do this or you will lose money. You will lose some pay. You will have some penalty. You will lose a bonus. Whatever the idea is, it's motivation by force or by fear. I'm the boss, you follow. And it's also control by inspection. In other words, people looking very carefully at what you're doing. It's what I might call a micromanager. It's a person who's really getting into your business and looking all the time over your shoulder, always looking over your shoulder. This is a traditional or task-oriented leadership style. Some pictures help to illustrate this of a traditional leadership style. Go! Another one now. Oh boy, maybe we've encountered this from time to time in certain leadership. Not very couth, not very polite about it. Not very tactful, just in your face. Why didn't you finish on time? And so the worker has no choice. He wants to keep his job, but to sit and listen to the rage of the boss. The workers are tired, but the boss keeps going and keeps going. The leader, I should say, not the boss, but the leader keeps going and going, but the people are tired. And so this is a difficult situation, and I've seen this from time to time, where the leader just keeps going and neglects the workers. We have to get the job done. We have to get the job done is the thinking. I told you earlier, I mentioned earlier about a micromanager. This is the manager always looking over the shoulder. What's this guy doing? Always looking over the shoulder. So it's very uncomfortable, I think you might say, if it was in a traditional environment. But there still are leaders like this. This is a leadership style. And in a moment, or in a few moments, I'll show you, this is not a leadership style that we must do away with. It has its merits. Sadly, however, there are some people who are over traditional in their leadership style. Now, let's go to my favorite. I'm more of a people-oriented person myself. But the people-oriented leadership style is more concerned with morale than business, or than the organizational needs as a whole. Don't get me too wrong. This is the one who explains, this leadership style tries to explain what's going on, explain why we're doing this, how we're going to do it. This is the encourager. You can do it. Come on, guys. This is the two-way communication. Talk to me, talk to me. And so this is the leader who meets with the people. This leader motivates people by recognition and by example. Employee of the month, recognition. The example, this is how I do it. So this is the leader that's a good employee or a good organizational member. This leader delegates. This leader realizes that I cannot do everything myself. I must give the job to others. This leader is also flexible, very willing, or not very willing, but willing to change their ideas, their plans, their perceptions based on the immediate needs or the ideas or suggestions of the members that they lead. And this person realizes that people are the most important resource of any organization. Now we can look at this and probably all of us would say, oh, this is wonderful, I love this, I want to be that way. This is illustrated in the let's go, okay everybody, let's do it, we're together. You can see being the example, by the way, up in the front. This is the leader who explains, I see, that's why we're doing it, I understand now, let's do it together. This is the leader. Wow, looks good, right? I mean, that's what we would all probably enjoy. Let's follow him or her. She or he is doing really well. She's a good employee. She's leading the way. She's getting a lot of awards. She must be good. Let's follow her. And this is the leader who's at the point of the arrow, bringing everybody together, focused on what needs to be done. This is the leader who is interested in the people, or more people-oriented. Now, do you think too much of a good thing is bad? Yeah, it is. Of course, too much of a goal-oriented leader is really horrific, really difficult in any organization. As you saw, it would be terrible, somebody looking over your shoulder all the time. It would be very difficult having somebody screaming in your face, or focused only on the job, focused only on results, with no care for the employees, with no care for the organizational members. However, on the other side of that, we can also have someone who's a little bit too much people-oriented. They sacrifice the work. They sacrifice the goals because the people are the most important. In other words, they're so focused on people, they're not thinking about the goal. Whereas this person Or this leader is thinking so much about the goal, they're not thinking about the people. They're driving them down. They're driving them to the ground. They're running them into the ground. What we're looking for is a happy medium. We need to get in the place where everybody's happy, where we can help the people meet the goal and achieve the goal at the same time. This is what we want, ideally. So you can be too much of a people-oriented person. I know that's terrible, right? I mean, that's what every organization member wants. I want to be taken care of. No problem there. But overemphasis on the people will lead to failure to achieve goals because we're worried too much about the people. Now, on the other hand, too much worrying on the goal neglects the people, which are the greatest resource. Those are the people who get the job done. So we have to find that happy medium. I hope you can find that happy medium. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to give you an assignment. Here's the assignment. Think about your own leadership style. Think about which one you are. Are you goal-oriented? Are you people-oriented? That's part one. And then part two, how can you gain more of a balance in your leadership? Okay, so that's your assignment. Again, identify which leadership style you are more inclined to. Please write maybe one paragraph on that. And then, how can you gain a balance between the two in your leadership style? So how about a total of 1 page or 500 words? Now again, if you don't want to type it, no problem. If you'd like to record it, go right ahead, but I'm asking you for about 3 minutes. Not less than 3 minutes, okay? Maybe between 3 to 5 minutes recording. All right, so that's the alternative. So written or recorded. If you have questions, just let me know. Now we can break the two traditional or the two generalized leadership styles into 4. There are some who are very democratic. Hey, who wants to do it? Yeah, just raise your hand. Anybody want to do this? There is the authoritarian. Do it because I told you to do it. Okay? There's the transactional. If you do this, I'll give you a bonus. If you do this, I'll give you a reward. If you don't do this, this is what happens. Okay? So this is transactional. It's like transacting. And then laissez-faire. I always have a difficulty. Laissez or laissez-faire, I think is the correct pronunciation. Do what you need to do. So this is a leader who doesn't have a lot of control or doesn't want to control too much. Okay, just do what you got to do. You guys know what you need to do. Do it. I'm not going to bother you. This is the kind of leadership. All right, so these are 4 different leadership styles. Why am I showing this to you? Simply because we can divide the 2 traditional or the 2 basic general or the 2 basic leadership styles into 4. And would you believe there's another teaching or there's another school of thought where there's 8 and possibly up to 16. We're not into that. We're into the practicality. And really, what I'm concerned about is these first 2. But I did want you to see that there are other leadership styles that can be categorized. But the 2 generalized ones, the 2 leadership styles, those are the main ones, and everything else falls in somewhere in between here. Every other leadership style that you might read is going to fall in between the goal-oriented and the people-oriented. And it's all about finding that happy medium. Okay, so if you want to go into the research and start reading more about leadership, be aware that there's a lot of different leadership styles out there, but 2 basic or general leadership styles. 2 ends of the spectrum. Now the question here is, which is best? Of all of these, you have all of these, which is best? Well, the point is all of them are necessary. There's going to come a time where you have to be traditional and the job needs to get done, and sometimes you have to issue warnings. Other times there's going to be a need where you need to stop pushing so hard and find out what is affecting the people or the morale or the motivation in your organization. Frankly speaking, it depends on the time and it depends on the circumstance. So you can't be one size fits all every time. That's not good leadership. You have to flex. You have to find out what works and what doesn't work, and then move on. Okay? So a good leader is going to know how and when. So there we go. What we want is to get that win-win situation. The organization needs to get a win. Every organizational member needs a win. But let's go for the we win solution. Your greatest task as a leader is to find that balance between the organizational goals and the maximum member output. What the members of the organization are capable of doing. So as a leader, you look at your team, you look at your organization, you look at the members who you're leading. What is it that needs to get done to accomplish the goal? And are my people able to do it? If they're not, how can I get them able to do it? So you've got to find that, so we have that, what I call win-win, or what is known as win-win. Here it's called we win, which is the accepted balance between the two. There has to be a balance. You cannot just go one way or the other. Otherwise, the organization will fail. Sadly, however, there are a lot of crippled organizations out there that are overly focused on the goals, or maybe overly focused on the people, and they're being affected in a negative way. Keep that in mind. Very interesting. How would you meet that? How would you do that? Okay. Now, some leaders go into what is called coercion. This is CAF. Some leaders like to give rewards or incentives. Some leaders have the position, and so people follow. Other leaders are experts at what they do, very, very good, and they know what they're doing. Others, just people like them, and people follow them. Now, how do employees respond to these kinds of leadership? Normally, there's somewhat of a resistance for the CAF, or for the counseling, or for the negative aspect, the demerits. Normally, employees will resist that. If you're giving incentives and bonuses and kind of motivations of that nature, recognition also falls into that category. The members will comply. They'll do it. They may not be so excited, but they'll do it because I'm getting a little reward. You can also get the legitimate leadership where I have the position, so as a member, I'm going to follow. Yeah, that's the position. I'm going to comply. Now, when you have the expert, the person who knows really well what they're doing, they know the job well, they know how to do it, they have tried and true, gotten results, people tend to be more committed towards the leader who is the expert. So what does that mean for you? It means develop your skills. Because the people are going to follow you because you know what you're doing. The other side of that, or another point, is the people who like you, are you well liked because you're fair, because you treat people fairly, because you're open and you're transparent, you get things done, you work with the people, you work toward the goals, people know that you're not just a company person, but you're also a people person, you're going to get commitment from those members. So think about those ideas, the sources of power and how employees are most likely to respond. This is based on research that I found. Now let's look at some mistakes that leaders make in their leadership styles. First of all, you have the super leader. Never fear, super leader is here. This is the person who can do everything, or they think they can do everything, and they try to do everything. So if there's a problem, instead of delegating, instead of investigating, the leader just takes care of it. That's a mistake. You will wear yourself out. very quickly. Another mistake leaders make is ordering people to do the job. Do it, do it. I said do it. You have to do it. You have to do this. You need to do this. If you don't do this, this is going to happen to you. Okay? So this is a leader standing off to the side, just telling them what to do all the time. Maybe in the messenger, this is the leader always telling them what to do, always telling them what to do. Maybe we can train them. That's always a possibility. Another mistake, actually two mistakes, is pushing and pulling. Pushing the people and pulling the people. Pushing the people we understand, right? But pulling the people, what does it mean? Well, if your members aren't doing their job the way that they need to, this leader is going to try and compensate by doing what they weren't able to do. Could be reports, could be evaluations, could be any number of things associated with your organization. But this is the leader who's picking up the slack where the employees have failed to do their job. Now, how can we fix that? Again, I'm a strong believer in training, and I think that can be fixed. But a good leader needs to understand when to help them and when you're pulling. Okay? So if you have to push or pull your people, there may be some fundamental problems. Could be a lack of motivation. Could be a lack of understanding. Could be a lack of interest. They're just not interested. Could be a lack of resources or a lack of example. They just don't know what to do. Or maybe here's a lack of communication. They don't understand. Or maybe motivation. What's in it for me? They don't understand these things. And all of these, frankly, I think could boil down to communication. So I think one of your biggest obstacles or one of your biggest tools in leadership is communication. Very, very important. Okay? So remember, we have two basic leadership styles. We have the traditional and we have the people-oriented leadership style. What we want to do is find that happy medium. Let me find the right slide there. We want to find the happy medium between the two, and remember your assignment on that. And then finally, your assignment for the end of this lesson is going to be submit a one-page essay. Basically, I'm looking for 500 words. If you don't like to write, again, a 3 to 5 minute audio file or audio-video file would be nice too. But explain how you would achieve the best balance between UTIS organizational goals and member production. I'm not going to get into too much detail. I'd like you to investigate and figure out what the UTIS goals are, or goal, and what needs to be accomplished to get those goals in by way of member production. If you have questions, please feel free to contact me. Other than that, that's all for our lesson today. Thank you for your attention, and have a great leadership style.